In today's video, we're on the Pit Boss doing some dry ribs. Hey, this is Ricer from Dead Broke Barbecue, Wisconsin, and welcome back to the channel. But if you're new here, we try to help you enhance and amplify your backyard barbecue fun. In today's video, we're on the Pit Boss doing some dry ribs. Now, some of you might be saying, what's a dry rib? I don't want to eat a dry rib. Well, it's not actually dry, but you just don't foil it or put it in a pan. You put it in the cooker until it's finished. And then you just add a little bit of dry rub to the top of them right before you're gonna serve them. So grab your pail and your mop, Alton. We're gonna smoke up some dry ribs. Today we're on the Pit Boss and we're gonna do some dry ribs. We've got 3 baby back or loin ribs that we're gonna go ahead and season up and do them dry style. A lot of people call them Memphis style, but we call them Eaton style. My kids don't prefer to have a real spicy rib, and I do. So sometimes we'll just make these dry ribs and throw whatever type of sauce in a bowl on the side, and then they can go ahead and dip them up if they want. But these are good enough just to eat without any sauce. So we're just gonna take a little time and clean them up just a little bit, because this type of stuff is just gonna burn off anyways. And I picked these ribs up from Costco, and they peel the membrane off for you now, so it's a lot less work. But if you prefer to leave the membrane on, well, don't buy them at Costco. Now on the back side, I'm not too fussy, but sometimes if you find a little bit of membrane, you might wanna peel it off. You know, just pull a little membrane off like that. And I don't get too fussy about cleaning all the fat off because that's just gonna run down on top of the heat deflector anyways. And we're gonna season the bone side. You don't have to, but I do. And I'm not using any binders, just the moisture from the pork itself will adhere the rub to it. So start off, and just cover them up. You don't have to get too crazy on the bone side. And get this side all coated up. And after I get it put on, I just tap them in a little bit. Flip the rib away from you, so that way you don't get all the rub all over your nice shirt. And then your wife doesn't have to get mad at you for wrecking it, and then she has to go buy a new one. Okay, we'll clean up this side just a little bit. Big chunk there is just gonna burn up. Now we'll go ahead and repeat on the other side. On this side, I really wanna make sure that I'm covering them up well. Don't forget the ends. And then we'll go ahead and pat them up again. Now I'm gonna wrap these ribs up and put them in the fridge for about 2 hours. We want this seasoning to start doing its magic. That salt is gonna start pulling some of that moisture, and they're gonna get a nice orangish red sheen to them. They look pretty before they even hit the smoke. So I'll get that Pit Boss all fired up and we'll see you out there in a couple hours. Okay, so our ribs have been in the refrigerator now for 2 hours. They're starting to tack up real well with that rub on it. Let's go ahead and get them some smoke. Okay, and the way we put these in is the way they're gonna come off. So I always like to take them, squish them up a little bit, get them just pushed together. It gives you a little bit meatier bite. And I have the Pit Boss set at smoke. I'm gonna run it there for about 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna turn it up to 250 and run it for another 30 minutes. Then we're gonna start mopping up these dry ribs. So I'm gonna run a 30-minute timer twice, and I'll be back when it's time to start mopping these up. All right, for our mop, I'm using a pretty standard recipe. I'm using 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, 1 cup of apple juice, a half a cup of red wine vinegar, a half a cup of olive oil, and we're topping it off with 2 tablespoons of SuckleBusters Competition BBQ Rub. Put them in a bowl and let's start mopping up these ribs. They're starting to get a little dry, and that's what we want to stay away from. So take your mop and mix it around a little bit, and just start dabbing them on top. We want to keep these ribs moist because we're going to be cooking these for around 4 hours. Plus it gives a little bit extra moisture in the pit itself. And boy, your neighbors are going to come running when they smell this. That's just going to sizzle on that heat deflector. Make sure your grease bucket isn't full. Get the back ends, make sure you get the back ends a little bit. Close up the lid and set a timer for 45 minutes. These are starting to dry out a little quicker in the Pit Boss, so we wanna make sure that we stay on top of them. Okay, our 45-minute timer went off. We're gonna go ahead and rotate these ribs, and then we're gonna go ahead and put on another mop. They're looking good, getting some nice color. Just gonna go ahead and take them Turn them 180 degrees. Ooh, that one's peeing on me. Get them lined up a little bit better. Now let's go ahead and mop them up. They're looking nice, though. They're not losing a lot of moisture. You can see they're not drying out on us yet, and that's good. And that's why I do the 45 minutes on the mop, because other times when I've gone an hour, this pit boss will dry them out a little bit. And without a water pan in here, doing them every 45 minutes seems to keep them always nice and moist. Close up the lid and set a timer for 45 minutes. We're looking at about 5 hours on these ribs, and then they should be done. But obviously you want to check for tenderness and make sure that those bones are starting to separate, because we want that bite off the bone rib. Okay, another 45-minute timer went off, but before I mop these up, I'm gonna start checking for tenderness. Open up the lid. Let's just rotate these over. All right, so we're starting to get a little bit of bone separation. You see they're starting to pop out a little bit. Do a little bit of a bend test. And I think in the next 45 minutes, these are gonna be ready. They're still a little stiff, but starting to bend. I'm gonna rotate them one time also. Fat in on that side. Check this one while we're at it also. Yeah, this one's got a little longer to go. But we're getting close. I really like that color. It's nice. And again, it's starting to stretch a little bit. We don't want them to crack up yet. They are most definitely staying nice and juicy though. You can see it on the outside. They're not drying up on us. Starting to darken up a little bit. Close up the lid and set a timer for another 45 minutes. And then we're gonna be getting close to pulling these ribs off. But we wanna make sure that those bones start to separate and we have a little bit more bend in them ribs. Okay, so we're just a little over 4 hours into this cook. Let's go ahead and check them out. We're gonna use a toothpick and see if there's any resistance, and also do the bend. Just pick them up, and if both sides are kissing, they're done. If not, we're gonna give them a little bit longer in this pit. All right, first thing we're gonna do is just go ahead and check out, see what the resistance is. Yeah, they're not bad. Check this one over here. Oh yeah, there's still some pull on that one. We're gonna wanna rotate them. This one's getting real good here. Okay, we're gonna rotate them a little bit. This one's starting to break. This one is done. So we're gonna set him way back on the side here. So I'm gonna rotate it this way. This one, it's pretty darn close. This one still has a little bit longer to go. We're gonna leave them like this. Go ahead and mop them up one more time for sure. This will be it. We'll close up the lid and set a timer for 30 minutes. That smaller one, it's done, but if we put it way on the left side, it shouldn't really overcook that much. Those two bigger loins are gonna need about 30 more minutes, and then they should be done too, and then we can pull them off and start slicing into them. But we're trying to achieve that bite off the bone, and those two still need a little more time underneath that smoke. I'm not just gonna pull one of them yet, but we'll see how they are in about 30 minutes. Hopefully they're done, because I'm starting to get hungry, because every 45 minutes it's been one beer. And I want to make sure that you can understand me at the end of this video. If not, it's a long cook. Our 30-minute timer went off. Let's go ahead and check out the tenderness on these dry ribs. First thing I want to do is just check out and see what the bend is. That's pretty good. If I push down on it a little bit, she's going to snap in half. This one I know is done. She's starting to break off a little bit. Get that one off. Decent bone separation. They're starting to pop out. That's a good sign. Now this one isn't quite as done, but I got a bunch of hungry kids and a family that's ready to eat. So we're gonna pull this one just a little early. She could probably take another, I don't know, it's not that bad, but probably take another 15 minutes on this. She's starting to crack. We'll take the ribs in, put some foil over the top, and give them about 15 minutes to rest. Then we'll cut into them. All right, so our dry ribs are all rested and they're ready to be cut into. We went ahead and threw some SuckleBusters Competition BBQ Rub on them because that's what makes a dry rib. Let's cut into one and let's see what they taste like. Better cut another bone off. I'm gonna want more than just one. Now that's got a really decent smoke ring on them. Yeah. They're still warm. Let's take a bite. Perfect. Bite off the bone. Now these are incredibly tasty. I can taste the SuckleBusters and the pork that goes along with it. That vinegar mopping sauce gives it that little extra flavor. These are eaten ribs. These are so good, even a Norwegian would eat them. Trust me, I'm part Norwegian. Now if you like sauce, put it in a bucket right next to it. Dunk it. You got some sauce for them. But if you live in a household like myself, the kids don't like them really hot and spicy. I do. So we just make the eaten dry ribs and then they can put whatever sauce they want on it. So just remember, you don't want them to dry out on the grill, so make sure you have a good mopping sauce to go on top of them. That way they stay nice and moist and they get that really nice bark on them. Yeah, I was right. I need another one. Ooh, look at that. And that's what's nice about a dry rib is that it's nice and crispy on the outside. You don't have a bunch of sauce and you don't get your face all mudded up when you're taking a bite. And this SuckleBusters is a perfect hit for these dry ribs. It gives you enough paprika and a good flavor balance to make you want to eat more. Still sticking to the bone, but where I bit, pops right off. A little bit of snap. Winner. Hey honey, give Schwen and Olga a call. They'll eat these. They'll love them. There's no spice. They ain't gonna have to dump water down their throat on these. Now let's read some comments from last week's video. Steve from Owl's Nest Barbecue Show says, "Great video, Ricer. You are the man." Well, thank you, Steve. I really appreciate that. I just try to make entertainment and cook while I'm doing it. Now, Steve is an embedded correspondent over at the Barbecue Central Show. Plus, he has his own channel, Owl's Nest Barbecue Show. He also owns a gas station and sells barbecue supplies. Talk about a busy man multitasking. Hey, Steve? So go over and check out his channel and tell him Ricer sent you. He'd appreciate you stopping by and saying hello. And another comment that has officially become the 2019 Comment of the Year comes from the one and only Alton, the Dog Father's Barbecue. He says, "Nothing like some good old barnyard pimp, bro. Good job." When I saw that comment, I laughed out loud, Alton. You deserve the 2019 Comment of the Year award. Congratulations. Nothing like coming in right at the end to steal the show. Now, I've known Alton for a while now, and that guy is hilarious. He is a really witty guy. If you see him on some of those live chats, you'll laugh because he's creative. So go over and check out his channel. He's a darn good cook and he spoils himself. Yeah, Alton, you spoil yourself, son. I really like the equipment that you're using to cook on. Good job. So head over to the Dog Father's Barbecue and tell them congratulations on the 2019 Comment of the Year award. I'll have both of these channels in the description below, so make sure you go ahead and check them out. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become a subscriber. Turn on that notification bell, and I am really proud to say some of you listened to me in the last couple videos because we're almost up to 17%. Good job. I'm proud of you, and I really appreciate you stopping by and watching. We'll see you in the next video. You guys, be quiet now. You can't laugh. If you gotta laugh, you gotta go outside. Boys, you can't laugh. Pinch your nutsack. Freaking kids these days. Don't they know I'm a YouTuber?
They were trying to hold it in.
Times I make people laugh, and then they subscribe.